Hello everyone and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm your host, Destiny Sanchez, alongside Matt Szczypiorski and Jeremy Ganes. Tonight we will be covering the race to the MLB Fall Classic. The Miami Marlins, Seattle Mariners, and the Cincinnati Reds have the toughest remaining schedules of all the MLB contenders. With only a week left of baseball, there's at least 6 teams in the National League still contending for playoff spots. Matt, which team do you see overcoming odds and making it to the playoffs?
Well, Destiny, it's an absolute logjam right now for those final couple spots in the National League wild card race. There are 3 teams with a record with a win percentage of 500. The Cincinnati Reds are my team that I'm going to focus on, though. They have great pitching. I like them better than the Brewers and the Giants. The Giants, I think, just don't have enough right now. They've really exceeded expectations. And as far as the Brewers go, they've really underperformed this year. And I do like the Reds. Their pitching staff has been really well. Trevor Bauer and Sonny Gray have been Cy Young candidates. Their lineup has really underperformed so far this season, but they have really started to heat up over the last couple of weeks. And I think with their team construction right now, they are definitely in a prime position to make the playoffs, although they do have a tough schedule, as Destiny did mention, as they face the Brewers and Twins this week.
Yeah, I like the Phillies actually getting one of the last couple of playoff spots. They really have an inside track for it right now. You know, as we kind of talked about, a lot of playoff spots kind of hanging around. Not a lot of teams have clinched yet. But the Phillies, the main problem they have to deal with is figuring out a way to get that bullpen to be a little bit more effective. You know, they brought in guys like Brandon Workman to make it a little bit better, but there's still some struggles because even he has blown games. But I do like the fact, though, that their lineup is starting to really gel and really find ways to score runs. So I'm confident that they'll be able to put up enough offense to get a handful of wins this week and help themselves secure a playoff spot going into October.
Many teams are also still competing for the final 3 spots in the American League wildcard race, the Seattle Mariners being one of those teams. I'll turn to you, Jeremy. How would you think that situation will play out?
Yeah, I don't really give the Mariners a real shot at making the playoffs. There's a couple of those spots left, but they are about 4 games behind the Houston Astros for that last 8th and final spot for the playoffs. And I just don't personally even see them as a playoff team, even if they had a chance to get in, which I don't think they're going to be able to make it work mathematically this coming week. The starting staff they have doesn't really impress me. It's near the bottom of the league, and their offense as well is not anything to write home about. So with a team that doesn't have anything to kind of bank on to say this is what's going to carry them to the postseason, I just don't see them being a team where you can say that they're going to make it, because they just don't have that thing that inspires you about them.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jeremy. And, you know, Kyle Lewis is probably going to win the American League Rookie of the Year for them this season. That's probably their only bright spot as a team this season. But another team that I'm going to look at is the Los Angeles Angels. They've kind of crept back into this playoff race. They do have Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Anthony Rendon, obviously, but I think at this point it's just too little too late for them. I think, you know, teams like the Indians and Blue Jays are just playing too well right now, especially with the Indians pitching staff and the Blue Jays getting teams back, or getting players back like Bo Bichette and Teoscar Hernandez in that lineup. I think it's just too little too late for both those teams.
The LA Dodgers and the San Diego Padres are the only teams to clinch the National League thus far. With the National League East and the Central still up for grabs, do you think any of the second-place teams can make a final push for the top spot in either division?
Well, personally, I think a team like the St. Louis Cardinals is a team to look out for in this final week of the season. While they are three and a half games back of the Chicago Cubs right now, I think the fact that they do have 8 games in this final week is going to help them, and the fact that they're not going to play the same amount of games as everybody. They're only playing 58 games, so that'll help their win percentage a little bit, and I do think that their schedule is a little bit easier than the Cubs in this final week of the season, and I do like the fact that the Cardinals are used to playing doubleheaders because they did miss 2 weeks due to their COVID outbreak on their team. I do like their chances. They're a veteran team. They have great management, and they have a lot of veteran guys on that team like Yadier Molina and Paul Goldschmidt. I think they can really make a push for that top spot in the NL Central, but I don't think they'll get it.
Yeah, the Cardinals have really been playing well lately after dealing with all the COVID stuff that they had to do. But the Marlins had to deal with a lot of COVID outbreaks early on, and they've really found a way to get it all to put it all together late in the season. That's been quite a surprise for a lot of people in the wild season that we're having. They have actually put together a pretty strong starting staff this year, and the lineup has actually started to gel a little bit too. And, you know, they're a team that has that veteran leadership at manager with Don Mattingly. So I think it's actually a good idea to bank on them to make something happen and maybe chase down the Braves in that division, and they'll certainly get that second spot out of that close and bunched up NL East.
With the Padres securing their first postseason berth in 14 years this past Sunday, what are their chances of winning it all this year?
I think their chances are actually pretty strong. You'd be hard-pressed to find a hotter team in baseball right now. That lineup that they have is just insane with Manny Machado and, of course, the superstar himself, Fernando Tatis Jr., and a couple other guys in that lineup as well to fill out the depth. You even have them with a great starting staff that they've been able to fill out. They added Mike Clevenger, of course, who's a very strong pitcher, and they have other guys on that staff already where it was a top 10 pitching staff in all of baseball, and now that they added that piece, it's only gotten better. And to have them playing the way they are right now going into the postseason, you have to believe that that momentum will be able to carry. Obviously, they're a young team, so you do have to be worried about that, but you can't find a hotter team right now, and momentum is everything in baseball.
I do agree with you, Jeremy, that momentum is everything in baseball, and I think they have been one of the more exciting teams to watch in all of baseball this season with Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado. But I think the simple fact for me that why they are not contenders quite yet is for the simple fact that they're going to have to play the Dodgers early on in the playoffs if things hold in terms of seeding right now, which it looks like it will. With the way the bracket is set up this year, they will have to play the Dodgers in an NLDS, and I just don't see them getting past the Dodgers in a 5-game series. And I think for that reason alone, I just don't see anybody competing with the Dodgers in the National League this year. I think they're probably going to get to the World Series out of the National League, and while the Padres may pose a big threat to them, I don't think it's their time yet.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Penn State Sports Night. For Matt Szczypiorski and Jeremy Ganes, I'm Destiny Sanchez, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.